Have you ever heard of the thing called a lavender marriage? No? Well, neither had I.
People hear lavender marriage and they get so weird. They lean in. I'm about to reveal the location of Atlantis. It just means we're married, we co parent, we share a mortgage, and the most intimate thing we do is argue about whether the thermostat should be set to reasonable or Brandy's Tundra fantasy. Our love language is delegating carpool and splitting a Costco membership. It's community property. Romance, our date night is refinancing jokes and meal prepping in silence. Last week, she looked at me and said, "You forgot to add the HOA fee to the spreadsheet." I almost proposed again.
And after speaking to this couple, it became quite apparent that the level of transparency and love that they have managed to achieve in this atypical situation is something that even us in traditional heterosexual marriages can maybe learn something from. So let's get right into it. The need for a lavender marriage was kind of understood, when, homosexuality was shamed. Now it being pretty culturally accepted, at least in the United States. What is the allure? I guess you can't speak as a large, or what is the need as opposed to back then?
Well, it's power couple dynamics. Maybe a gay man and a straight woman, you can get a lot of shit done without communication.
What's the parameters here? Are you guys, is this, I wouldn't say a marriage of convenience. I do like the power couple type of wording that you use, but you are still married. So can you see other people? How does this work?
When I first met Marty, he was my very best friend, and we had a really good foundation. He's my ride or die. He pushes me to extreme. We love to, grow and do life together and build an empire. And he's the one that pushes me to be my best authentic self. And so the part here is I'm with my very best friend doing life together. We're raising a kid together. And so it's just really important to keep that foundation alive. We do have set open communication, so we are able to see other people if we choose. Neither one of us has really done that yet, but we're definitely open to exploring that in the future. We have a teenage daughter right now, so our focus is obviously our careers, and then our daughter, and then whatever comes next.
Okay, so your daughter, that's both your biological daughter?
It is.
Okay. How did that happen?
Well, we used to be intimate. I mean, for 11 years, right? We were intimate, and just one day I knew that there was something off. I had been feeling it for a long time, and I know Marty very, very well, right? Like I said, at the end of the day, we're very best friends, and so I knew something was off. And when he was open and honest with me, and we came to terms with it, it took a good couple years for us to really iron all this out. Like I said, it's how people crippled us. You guys have to get into divorce, meet separate homes. But to us, it just didn't feel right. None of those moves felt right because we didn't want to live life without each other. We still wanted to grow and be, not necessarily equal. So we just redefined how our marriage looks like. And I think that we've done that over the course of time.
So you had to be very intentional laying out what everything is looking like moving forward. And I think this is what we're missing in today's marriages, because even when we don't have one part of the couple that is a homosexual and we don't really have a definition of roles and what's going on in today's marriages, and the things that are needing to be discussed aren't being discussed. So this forced you to have these discussions that traditional couples are not having, but they need to have. And it's one of the big reasons I'm hammering all the time of, like, everyone has expectations, you're bringing them in, you're not discussing, you're having problems. So I really do love that it forced you to have these conversations.
Well, 100%. And yeah, it was very uncomfortable at first. Trust me. Like, it was very uncomfortable. These are very hard topics. And it was not an easy thing to deal with it. But, Marty and I came to terms with, like, okay, so how are we going to have these hard conversations? Because in order to move past this, we've really got to dig deep and have that open communication. So we even came up with a strategy during this time that honestly, the harder conversations, it was easier for us to email one another, just get all of our thoughts and all of our emotions out of it and just kind of throw up on the page. And then we'd email each other and then we'd schedule a time to have an in-person conversation. And it just seemed like it was an easier way to do that because, and most often he was feeling the same way I was and vice versa. So it just really taught us. I think we already had good communication prior to, but this really forced us to open up everything and just really deal with the truth and deal with the hard topic.
Did you know going in that you were gay? Were you trying to? You
I
did.
did.
Okay. Why'd you do it?
I wasn't necessarily dishonest with Randy either. So Randy was actually, and 27 years old, I think I was at that time, was one of the first women in my life that I ever actually shared the fact that I was attracted to men. And she just kind of ignored it. Let's just say that she disregarded that fact. But and I did as well. You know, I was never enough for any of the women that I was ever with. In fact, my dad actually slept with two of them when I was in my 20s. Yes, you heard me right. And so, you know, there was always this kind of pit in me and this feeling of the like I was never enough. And this was truly the first woman that I was ever honest with about who I was. And she wrapped her arms around me even tighter and fully embraced and accepted that. I think in her mind, she was saying, no, he's not gay. But and I was. And I made it 11 years with that, you know, really. But the reality is, and as you can tell, I so very much love Brandy. I always wanted to be the perfect husband for her. I wanted to satisfy her in those ways. And even still today, I have those thoughts at times. It's like, you know, I wish I could have been, but the reality is that's not who I am. And it was slowly killing me inside. You know, when you wake up every day and you are telling lies, essentially, when every word out of your mouth is calculated, you're telling yourself you're not good enough. And over time, that is going to wear down anybody. And that's why you have the download epidemic, if you will, of men who are just narcissists and abusive towards their wives and all these things because they're just miserable inside. And so luckily, we never got to that part and we were able to really salvage our relationship and save what is so important to me.
Beyond the sexual component, it did the way you live your life, has it really changed much?
Yeah. So when this all happened, we just knew like obviously we were still sleeping in the same bed, right, for a while, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is really weird. Like this is not how we're. So we purchased a new house, and now we have separate living spaces. So we still have our other house. We rented it out, but we purchased a new one. We have separate bedrooms, and so, but in the vote of more, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in the way that we do life, I don't know. I don't feel like so much has changed. It's not so dramatically changed. I think obviously the openness that we have is amazing. The separate bedrooms, honestly, truly is amazing. Other than that, I mean, we're just a normal family trying to raise a child together and do big things in our life.
Hey, I'm just swinging in real quick to make sure that you have hit that subscribe button because we all know there's no such thing as too much Monica in your life. Also, I want to let you know about my community on School. It's a platform that allows us to take these conversations and these ideas that we start right here on YouTube and take them into a more in-depth conversation. So if you're having relationship problems you want my opinion on, head over there now, and I'll put that link in the description as well. And finally, everyone, we all know that Christmas is coming. And we all know you guys are awful at shopping, and I'm going to help you out right here. So head over and get yourself a Cup Cozy pillow. It's a soft, portable cup holder where you can put all your drinks, your snacks, your remotes, everything that you need, exactly where you want it. I'm the inventor and the owner, Amazon or cupcozypillow.com. Now that I've solved your shopping dilemma, let's get back to the episode.
And live life. You know, we haven't explored the whole dating scene. Marty did a little bit last summer. But
it's so amazing that you can just laugh at this now. Because I know there had to be a process to get there.
Oh, there was. You know what I mean? There really was. I even told Marty, I said, I hope you don't mind that I share this with you. But I said, we told each other we would say hard things. I said, but I had to learn how to fall out of love with you because I was still in love with you. You know, Marty's a very handsome man. Obviously, you know, I think it's so funny because people ask me, you know, well, what kind of guys are you into? And I'm like, hello, you know? I told him, I'm like, I really had to fall out of love with you and out of attraction to you, because when I still found him hot and wanted to be with him, it just crossed a boundary that I knew was never ever going to happen again. I had to really accept that, yes, he is gay. I'm not gonna force him to tell me one more time. I didn't believe it 14 years ago. I'm gonna believe it now.
She had to go through the process of closing and shutting down that wall. Did you have a process like that, or it was just always like that?
No, in fact, the 5 words that I said to her when she asked me, well, I mean, the question was really, are you attracted to me? But yeah, I just said, I'm not attracted to women. I mean, that was really that's how I came out to her. Those were really the words that I used. And I don't think I was ever attracted to women, obviously. I've always been attracted to the idea, obviously, when you're a gay man trying to be straight, I always wanted, we all know, I mean, men when there's another good looking man, whether they're attracted to them or not. So, I obviously knew Brandy was very attractive, but I was not attracted to her that way. I even still with men, I think there's the very much a need for an emotional connection for me, and that is really what fueled me for many years. There was some headboards falling off the wall. It wasn't this loveless marriage or anything. It was great, and but that is like that's the same kind of passion and I always like to say tickle your pants that everyone goes through when they're in a new relationship. And I think that can fuel a lot of us in ways where it's not a good match. And so if a gay man can feel that way when they're in that new relationship stage and connecting and doing all these fun things together, it just goes to show you how easy it is to fall in love with somebody, if you will.
Cindy, I love to do this to her. A lot of women think that you are trapped in this lavender marriage and you're somehow uninformed and living a miserable life. What do you say to them?
Did they know I stalked you down? It took me fucking 3 years to get your ass to like me and date me.
That's right. I tried to tell her, girl. So no one is to blame here, and no one is stuck in this relationship. We actually love each other. We fucking do everything together still. We've been single for 3 years, basically. We're married, but single. And we still hang out with each other every fucking day. So
Complicated to everybody else, but it's not complicated to us.
it's not complicated at all. We actually love our lives. And when your life is full and you have every other piece of the pie, but that one little piece, you can actually live without it. Trust me. Not that we need to. We're fully open to go and do what we want. Nobody would be cheating if they did. And guess what? Our lavender marriage would also not just be destroyed if that happened. Anything else you want to add? Okay, so for to you Nancy Nellies or negative Nancys out there that want to say that I'm a liar and Brandy is poor miserable woman that's stuck in this relationship and she's being done wrong, she's not. And what if I was the one that was sitting at home with no dick and she was out running the streets? Like, why can't anybody assume that's the case? Look at her. Come on.
Because they already know I'm a goody two-shoe. I wouldn't do.
They don't know. Half these people don't even watch our lives. If they did, they would know. Anyways, mwah.
I almost feel more beautiful now than I did in the last few years of our real marriage, because I thought there was something wrong with me. Right. Until he told me his truth. Like, I knew we weren't connecting. I knew there was something missing. I knew the way he touched me, the way he hugged me, the way everything was, that it was different. I know he thinks I'm beautiful. He's just not attracted to me. He doesn't want to sleep with me.
Right. Right. There's a lot of peace there. I understand what you're saying, Brian.
Yeah.
Daughter, take this.
Do you want to say that too?
She really didn't skip a beat. I think sexuality for kids, she was 12 when we told her. I probably waited another 2 years after coming out to Brandy. So, it was a very much a phased approach for me. And I hired a coming out counselor or therapist, if you will, a man who does podcasts and stuff. And, I was paying him $800 a month to help me design what this looked like. And the truth is, at the end of it, the most important thing to me, and this makes me almost tear up every time I talk about it, was really maintaining that relationship with Brandy and my daughter. I did not want to ruin that unit that I had. These are the two most important women in my life, and I still to this day do so much for them. I love being a caretaker in my way to them. And I didn't want to destroy that. And chasing no man down around town was more important to me than that. And so it was a multi-year approach that I took into coming out. And, even I did it at work. I did it at home. I think he never stopped coming out. The reality of it is, but she was 2 years after I told Brandy. It was after we had moved into this house. I even had my own bedroom at that point before we actually decided to tell her. So, yeah, but she took it as most, I think, teenage kids today would, that have a great loving parent, and it's a healthy environment. She didn't really care. She doesn't care. She cares more about what we're doing next weekend than our sexual affairs.
Now, I was really surprised when I was looking at some of the TikTok comments about like how positive and women are like, sign me up. Sounds amazing. Marty, why do you think that we're seeing so much positivity from women about this kind of setup?
Well, they're exhausted. I mean, I tell me about this every day. I have a video right now that has, I think, 300,000 views on it that I posted yesterday. And it is talking about that. Women are tired of carrying the emotional labor. Women today are expected to still be that trad wife, if you will, but also have careers and also do all these things that it takes to uphold any kind of normal household today. And they're just tired of it. Mention what Brandy did, and then their husbands don't even spend any time with them. And so most of them are like, when he dies, I'm marrying a gay. I think that, and then I think a lot of even the younger generation, Gen Z, 60% of Gen Z is already saying that they are not interested in dating anymore because of the fatigue of the apps, right? So it's just this white culture, and it's so fast, and there's so much available that I think we've devalued relationships and also not built them in the right way. So I think people see something special about the dynamic that we have, or the way I talk about things. And a lot of it is a fairy tale. Obviously, I don't think all these women are going to run out and get a Lavender husband, but I think it's a great topic at the end of the day.
Do you think most of the couples that are in the Lavender marriages, are they there because of scenarios like you, where finally the man got married and he finally couldn't deny the reality, and then it just had to be addressed?
I do. I think that there's a certain mix of all of them. I think that there's definitely the appetite, if you will, out there for new Lavender unions as well. People entering into these kind of partnerships where you can build it like a business. Sit down and have those emails back and forth. Talk about what you want to achieve together. We spend 6 months putting a project together for something at work. We don't put that same kind of effort into building relationships today. And so I think there is a certain level of that, add the dating fatigue into that. And, both parties, really, gay men and women, have both been told for many, many decades, if you will, what they need to be and how they need to act. And so there's a certain level of interest in that power couple dynamic that I mentioned. And the response that I got from women, as you mentioned earlier, was thousands of women came pouring in droves, kind of saying all the things that you saw in my post, right? Like, we want this, and this is why, and they were so tired of men. And it's just kind of like, I felt like this pummeling to create this for them. I woke up at 10:30 at night, because I go to bed early, and I created Llama Life, which was the website, and I started I felt an obligation to. And for me, again, this was something that was such an insecurity for me. And to have such validation and to actually have people say, like, we envy your marriage, it was a really cool feeling. And it just kind of fueled this whole thing that took off.
So have you started dating anyone? Either side, real no?
I went on a couple of dates last year. The guy was a little younger than me. He's about 8 years younger than me, I think, which really is it. I don't even really know what my ideal guy is yet. That's what's so funny. Like, I have this, I just think like, okay, this or this, but I think I'm going to have a harder time with it when Brandy actually starts dating than she will have with me, to be fair. Because again, I think deep down, I still, wish I could have been that man for her. Like, I truly do. But I also have, some childhood issues around that I think have kind of allowed me to kind of stay in my little bubble. I work from home, so it's not like I'm not out there meeting a lot of people, and I don't necessarily connect with a lot of the gay culture. I think it's very, it's not necessarily for me. So I think doing what I'm doing, the right guy is going to come into my life that is a good fit, and I predict that it will most likely probably be somebody that was formerly married to a woman as well and kind of understands. I think we're a very niche kind of gay, if you will.
For sure. Well, you guys, I really appreciate your time and being so open about this and kind of like paving the way for other couples who may be in this similar situation. What's the best place for people to follow you?
Marty Fly on TikTok, or you can go to llama.life, so llma.life, and that is our website. There's information on the Lavender Marriage app.
Take care. We'll go ahead and chat with you later.